Hi, today we will learn about XML, AJAX and JSON. These are the most important topics for web development. Here, we are going to cover these topics. What is XML? What is AJAX? How AJAX works? And what is JSON? What is XML? XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. XML plays an important role in many different IT systems. XML is often used for distributing data over the Internet. It is important for all web developers to have a good understanding of XML. Please find here one example of XML. What is AJAX? AJAX is a developer's dream, because you can read data from a web server after a web page has loaded. You can update a web page without reloading the page. You can send data to a web server in the background. AJAX is not a programming language. AJAX is a technique for accessing web servers from a web page. AJAX stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Please find one example of AJAX here. The HTML page contains a div section and a button. The div section is used to display information from a server. The button calls load_doc function, if it is clicked. The function requests data from a web server and displays it. How AJAX works. AJAX allows web pages to be updated asynchronously by exchanging data with a web server behind the scenes. This means that it is possible to update parts of a web page without reloading the whole page. Let's understand the diagram. Step 1. An event occurs in a web page, the page is loaded, a button is clicked. Step 2. An XML request object is created by JavaScript. Step 3. The XML request object sends a request to a web server. Step 4. The server processes the request. Step 5. The server sends a response back to the web page. Step 6. The response is read by JavaScript. And Step 7. Proper action, like page update, is performed by JavaScript. What is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is a lightweight format for storing and transporting data. JSON is often used when data is sent from a server to a web page. JSON is self-describing and easy to understand. Please find one example of JavaScript Object Notation. JSON syntax rules. Number 1. Data is in name and value pairs. Number 2. Data is separated by commas. Number 3. Curly braces hold objects. And number 4. Square brackets hold arrays. The JSON format is syntactically identical to the code for creating JavaScript objects. Because of this similarity, a JavaScript program can easily convert JSON data into native JavaScript objects. The JSON syntax is derived from JavaScript Object Notation syntax, but the JSON format is text only. Code for reading and generating JSON data can be written in any programming language. JSON data, a name and a value. JSON data is written as name and value pairs, just like JavaScript object properties. A name and value pair consists of a field name, in double quotes, followed by a colon, followed by a value. Please find one example for JSON name and value. JSON objects. JSON objects are written inside curly braces. Just like in JavaScript, objects can contain multiple name and value pairs. Please find one example for JSON objects. JSON arrays. JSON arrays are written inside square brackets. Just like in JavaScript, an array can contain objects. Please find one example for JSON arrays. In this example, the object employees is an array. It contains 3 objects. Each object is a record of a person, with a first name and a last name. Converting a JSON text to a JavaScript object. A common use of JSON is to read data from a web server, and display the data in a web page. For simplicity, this can be demonstrated using a string as input. First, create a JavaScript string containing JSON syntax. Then, use the JavaScript built-in function JSON.parse, to convert the string into a JavaScript object. Finally, use the new JavaScript object in your page. Please find the example and output of the example here. Thank you for watching video. Connect with us to learn more. Please provide your feedback in comment.